Okay, so this is our pink microphone.
Hello, my name's Leonard.
Okay. Hi. Can you say that again? The mic wasn't working. Can you say that one more time?
You introduced
Okay, this is my friend Leonard. Leonard, when was your birthday?
July 29th,
And on the 29th, did you turn 102?
101.
101. Okay. So, can you repeat what you told everybody about how often you've been coming to the gym?
I come 3 times a week, and I've been coming over 30 years. If my longevity belongs to anything, it belongs to the gym.
We're in a community center. This is how Leonard and I met. It's a free gym. What's your workout routine?
Well, I work out on 8 different machines, and then I finish up on the dumbbell. It gives me every part of my body exercise. There's nothing left to exercise that I haven't worked over pretty good.
It's really fun talking to you, so I'm going to try to stay focused.
Hi.
Doing okay?
Yeah.
All right, good to see
She
you.
got me saddled
That's
there.
all right. Good to see you.
Leonard's very popular. So, a big piece of your story that's amazing is that you were in which war?
I was an aircraft mechanic in World War II, and I got to fly a lot. I was a crew chief on a B-24 bomber, and wherever it went, I went. And when it wasn't going anywhere, we worked on it.
How old were you when you enlisted in the war?
I enlisted in the Army Air Corps to keep from getting into infantry, and I was 17 at the time, and when I got out, I was 21. That's the last year and a half or so, I was a B-24 crew chief. I had worked my way up to the crew chief on a B-24. We patrolled the Pacific and the Gulf for submarines. That's what our squadron did. We looked for submarines, sink them, and we sunk a few. We flew out of northern Panama. I was 300 miles from a canal zone, and had a little base up in David, Panama. Flew out of there, and in a weekend we could fly to the get a hop down to the canal and go to shows or something, see our friends down there, wherever we wanted to do on the weekends. Because I was a ride hopper. The airplane was going someplace. I asked if I could go, and usually they did let me go. They'd say, "Get a parachute," and I said, "I already got one." We'd go, but during the week we flew a lot. I didn't count the missions, but there was a lot of them. People asked me how many missions. I have no idea. There's so many. The mission didn't mean that much because we weren't getting shot at. We were bombing them, and they weren't shooting it. They weren't even shooting at us. I didn't count the missions, but there was a lot of them.
The submarines that you guys were targeting, they're German?
They were German Nazi submarines, and they were in the Gulf sinking ships. And the submarines that were in the Pacific were Japanese. We didn't see many Japanese submarines, but we did sink one that I know of, and it was a long ways from home. We were headed for the canal, and we got it. That saved probably a lot of lives in the canal. We stopped it.
So there were Nazi submarines all the way in the Gulf that got that far?
They're still in there. We sunk them. They're out there now. It's a bunch of them out there, and there's a bunch of ships that they sunk out there. One day I was walking down the runway. Jeep pulls up, hands me a bottle of whiskey, and says, "The war is over." I didn't drink, so I gave it to my friends.
Have you ever drank?
No, I've never drank and never smoked.
I don't drink either.
Good.
It's really encouraging for me to hear that you've never been a drinker. Do you think that's part of the secret to your longevity?
If it would have tasted good, I probably would be a drunkard. But I tried it. I didn't like it, so I didn't do it. Same way with cigarettes. I tried them. I can see why people want to do that. It didn't make any sense to me. I think it's just because other people did it. I've been disgustingly healthy all my life.
Disgustingly healthy your whole life.
Yeah, nothing to brag about or anything like that. I haven't had hardly anything ever happen to me or bad accidents and things like that.
Are you okay if I bounce around like your personal life? Because the fact you're 102 is incredible. Well, 101. And the fact that you served 4 years in World War II at such a young age is incredible. So are you okay if I bounce between some questions about the war and then questions about just your life?
Sure, go ahead.
How many years have you been married?
The first time I was married 60 years. And since then, I've been married to another lady for 20 years. So I've been married 80 years altogether.
When was your first heartbreak?
And the first heartbreak was when my wife died. And that was in '03.
What was her name?
Her name was Laverne. And she was a country girl, and she was a real good buddy. Whatever I wanted to do, she wanted to do. And we had a very good life. Very good life.
Did you guys have children?
We had 2 girls and a boy. The boy died when he was about 40 years old. But I had 2 girls that are still alive. One of them lives 5 miles from me, and the other one lives in Kansas City. Hopefully get her down here too. She was born in Texas, but I want to get her back down here. I keep telling her to sell out and move down. Sell out and move down.
How old are your daughters now?
One of them is 82 and one of them is 78. They're both very active. They're very young, old women, but they're very active.
What's the most romantic thing you've ever done?
That's a hard one because there's so many of them. We used to go up at night when the sun would go down. We'd fly in our airplane, go up and bring the sun back up until it went down again, and then we would come back and land. That was very romantic. Now, my wife loved to do that, and I loved to do it. So we did that pretty often. I live in a hangar, and I built my hangar, and I built the apartment inside of it, and we've been there. I've been in there over 40 years.
You lived in your hangar for 40 years.
Yes, over 40 years. About 44 years. When I was flying a lot, I don't fly a lot anymore. But when I was flying a lot, we'd go someplace and we'd come home, put the airplane in the hangar, and we'd just walk inside and sit down. And it was such a good feeling. You were home when you got the airplane back home in the hangar. You just walked through the door and you were home. And now I'm building another airplane right now, and I'm working in my shop a lot. I can work about 3 or 4 hours, and I get too tired and I have to go in and rest a little bit. But I pop back pretty good. After I rest a little bit, I'm all right. It keeps me out of the beer joints.
Keeps you off the sauce.
Yeah, keep me off the sauce. Yeah.
When was the last time you took out one of your planes to fly?
It was the last time I flew? About a month ago, and I flew a gyrocopter then, which has a wing on top, flying around in a circle. And it also has a Jesus bolt. If your bolt breaks, you see Jesus. That's one I don't like about gyrocopters and helicopters.
So at 101, you are still flying.
Oh, yeah. Why stop? I'm still driving.
You are an icon, sir.
Well, just lucky, I guess.
Wow.
Lucky Leonard.
So you, lucky Leonard, sorry, I almost missed that.
I've designed 4 airplanes, and I sell plans to those. I've been doing that for over 25 years. My airplanes are flying all over the world, every country you can think of. And my website is legaleagleairplane.com. Be sure and put the airplane in there, or you'll get a bunch of lawyers, and nobody needs a bunch of lawyers. Look that up. You can stay on that web all day long. And you said you have been in.
Yeah. It's a really good website. It's really, really good. I'm linking his website, and you have a YouTube as well.
I'm on YouTube, and I tell stories there, and I also talk about my airplanes, give some instructions on how to do some of the things on the airplanes.
So any post I do of Leonard is going to have the link to his website and his YouTube. So if anyone falls in love with Leonard, you can go find his YouTube and his website. There's a lot of people that when I tell them about you and I tell them how you agreed to talk to me, there's a lot of people that are like, hey, ask him this. So I'm trying to throw everybody a bone. This is a good one. What do you appreciate about America most? What do you think makes America special?
Freedom. We got people in our country that want to take away those freedoms, and we have to fight to keep them. Freedom is the best thing. In some countries, we wouldn't even be allowed to do this. I sell plans all over the world to countries, and the countries that have the most restrictions, I haven't sold any plans to. They're not allowed to build an airplane and go flying like they are in the rest of the world.
Where were you born?
I was born in Kansas City. I left there in 1942. I came to Texas, and I saw people laying out taking sun baths, and I had left snow and ice up there. So I said, I'm never going back, and I never did. I stayed in Texas, married a Texas girl, and I've been here ever since. I'm a transplanted Texan.
What part of Texas was your first wife from?
My first wife was from San Angelo, Texas. There was an air base out there, and I was stationed there. And we had 200 airplanes at that air base. I was crew chief on some of those, and did a lot of work on them. Got to fly out there. I got to fly there a lot, too. I did. I got to fly a lot.
What is your earliest childhood memory?
And in the front door looking out the screen. I must have been about 18 months old or so. But that's my first childhood memory. And that's what I say. When I write my story, I say I was born standing in the front door looking out the screen.
Back home in Kansas City.
1925.
This is more a question about how long you've been lucky enough to live. What is something that in the last 101 years that you've seen that has impressed you the most?
Living on the farm. I lived on the farm 2 years. And I think about that more than anything else. Because I got to see all the way farmers make their living, and I've been around animals, nursing them and working with them, and that was the most impressive thing that I've done, other than flying. Flying is a whole bunch of different episodes, but the biggest thing that stays with me is my memories of the farm.
You don't have to answer this one if you don't want to. But what is something in the last 101 years that has disturbed you the most that you've seen? But remember, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to.
Well, these useless wars, political wars, disturbed me the most. We won World War II, but there's never been a war won since then. And most of the time, they just give up and come home. And that bothered me more than anything, because politicians in Washington are sending these guys out for what? For nothing. For political.
What is the most miraculous invention that you've seen in the last 101 years that you feel like has benefited humanity?
The most thing that startled me was the doctor was putting a needle in my knee to give me a shot in my knee, and his nurse was holding up the cell phone so he could see what he was doing. They had a little wire came out of the cell phone, and it looked like a little pretty flashlight he was rubbing on my knee. You could see the bones, and he knew exactly where to put the needle. Here he was doing with a cell phone what they do with these monster machines all in the operating rooms and stuff. And that surprised me the most lately.
You mentioned to me briefly once that your father passed when you were young.
He passed when I was 7. My father and my mother made us a living with her sewing machine. My grandmother was a seamstress. She had a dressmaking shop in Colorado, and they moved back to Kansas City, and my mother and my aunt and my grandmother had a dressmaking shop, and they made hats, because those days the women all wore hats, and they made hats and also made dresses for them. And I remember when they had the old pedal machines that they had to work with their feet, and when they got the first electric machines, they thought they were really doing something. My mother, she went to work for a uniform factory, and she was the lady that took the place of anybody that didn't show up. So she went to all the positions, and she learned all about how to do uniforms and shirts and pants. And when the war came along, you couldn't buy any clothes, because they were making soldier uniforms, and they weren't making clothes for civilians. So she altered clothes. She let them out, and she took them up. She patched them. She put in new pockets, and she made a lot of money. The cleaners would bring by clothes in the morning and come by that evening and pick up what she had done, and did it right in her living room. And she made us That's a good living with a sewing machine all of her life.
One of the first times you and I chatted, and I told you what I do, and I showed you my Instagram, the things I make.
Yes,
You,
it's amazing what you do. It's very nice, and
thank you.
I'm sure that everybody appreciates it when they use your systems.
Thank you. That's really nice of you to tell me that.
What do you have in mind for the future?
Okay, I'm being interviewed now.
Your interview.
Um, I'm not sure. I've been a mom for my whole young life. I had my first baby young. She's just gone off to college 2 days ago, and that was hard.
Where did you pick up your sewing ability?
My grandma.
Your grandmother told you how to sew. Both of my wives are disappointed in me that I didn't learn how to sew. I was around it so much. And my children walked around the sewing machines when my grandmother and my mother were working. And one room in our house always was a sewing room. Ladies would come by with a set of patterns, and they would always got the pattern too small. My mother had to let them out a little bit because you take the measurements, and these patterns don't fit this measurement. So she had to make the patterns over again and then make the dresses. And so she got really good at it. Of course, working in the uniform factory really helped her. But she was good before that, and she was excellent after that. She was really good. She was able to turn that sewing machine into money.
Yep. I think that's why I'm passionate for more people to learn to sew. It's a lost art form, and be a little bit more self-sustainable. That's why I get passionate about it.
I think it's a wonderful thing to learn how to sew because it's not easy for me. But oldest daughter makes a lot of things. She has a she shed, and it's it's full of artwork and sewing machines stuff. And at 82, she's out there working away all the time. She makes little things, and if I want something, she'll make it for me. Like my mother used to do that. When I was in the Army, I'd write home and tell them we didn't have cell phones in those days. Had to write home. You had to drop it in the mailbox and wait until you got the mailbox back again, which was several days in between. I told her I wanted a pair of pajamas, and I was already gone. She made me a great pair of pajamas to wear while I was in the Army, and I wasn't even there. She made them and sent them to me, and they fit perfect.
That makes me really, really happy to hear that. You have no idea.
Hold on. And I think I'm being paged. I think what you do is great. You keep it up and let me know how it comes out.